Hello, everybody. It's me, Christy Schrader from Altered Story, and I am here for my first ever live event on YouTube. And I couldn't be more excited that you're joining me here today. If you're watching the recording, I really hope that this will be a blessing to you as well. Whenever you watch this, content is meant to really encourage you and inspire you to make the most of 2020 and all that we have left in it. As many of you know, 2020 has been a crazy year. And so it was my desire to help you understand how you can live with purpose, even if you don't necessarily have a goal or know what to expect ahead. And that's what today is all about. So it's wonderful to see some actual live people here with us. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I introduce myself tonight, I hope that you'll introduce yourself in the comments for YouTube. You can just let us know who you are and where you're watching from. And that will make this really, really interactive, I hope. Even if there's just a few of us, if you comment when you're watching the replay, that would add to the fun. So I invite you to do that. I would love to show you here. First of all, let's make 2020 the best comeback story ever. We're going to be sharing the 4 secrets to living a meaningful life, even in 2020. And so I hope that this really will be a blessing to you. I already showed you a real life picture of me on video, but here I am at my launch party when I started Altered Story at the end of 2019. I decided that I wanted to be a social impact entrepreneur to connect and equip a sisterhood of everyday Christian leaders to pursue God's purposes, alter our stories, and change the world. I've been a pastor's wife for about 20 years. And I was working a full-time job for the last 5 years in corporate America, and I decided to pursue my dream to help others live for God's purposes. And that's what this day was all about, was launching that dream. And on the table, I've got a bunch of gifts that I gave away because I am a believer in gifts, and that includes you today. We are going to be giving away some fair trade goodies today. This is the picture of the actual items that you'll receive. We've got some fair trade coffee, some chocolate, some fair trade jewelry, a wallet, and I would love to send this to a lucky winner tonight who shows up live. The way that you can qualify to win this tonight is simply by commenting. And like I shared earlier, I really hope you guys will comment and maybe even get to know each other as guests watching today. So let me come back here live to myself. Hi, everybody. It looks like we've got Dawn Hanson. It says, "Hi, Christy. I'm tuning in from Burnsville, Minnesota. So fun. Love giving gifts too." I know you do, Dawn. You're my inspiration. I'm so happy to have you here today. And I do see that we've got some other watchers. I hope that you'll just let us know what your name is and where you're watching from tonight, and that will be the first of interacting and commenting with me tonight. I really hope that this will be a time for us women to connect virtually, if nothing else, but we're still connecting, which is really awesome. So back to our party. As you remember, when I sent out the little advertisement, I was talking about how 2020 sort of feels to me like an action movie. And I had shared this image. It feels like there's buildings burning behind us, and we just really need to get out of here and escape to something better. And I had an image of Jesus grabbing my hand and leading me away from this into safer pastures, safer places, better places, and that would be what's true for you as well. And so I hope that tonight's presentation will help you to realize that there's good coming up ahead. So that analogy of an action movie, I wanted to share about my favorite action show, which is Alias. I started watching that way back in the early 2000s and continue to watch it today. My family just loves watching it. And I love Sydney Bristow. I love Jack Bristow. And I'm curious, what's your favorite action movie or show? Would you mind commenting in the comments there? What's your favorite action show or action movie? And if you prefer Hallmark or romantic comedies or something else, you can comment that. But tonight's theme is going to be all about the action and making things happen. So, Dawn, you loved that show? I know, I love it. I've got my teenagers into it now, so it's fun. Some of my other favorites that I've loved were Bourne Identity movies and any figure it out movies like Ocean's 11 and The Italian Job. The comments are a little further behind real time. Heather, I see Thor Ragnarok was yours. Okay, I love it. We are going through all of the Marvel movies this summer, and we just finished Doctor Strange. So we're about halfway through, I think. Well, feel free to comment more of your movie favorites. Deb, I see you love Hallmark movies. Dawn, you're with me on the Avenger movies. Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing. You girls are getting in there in the comments. That means you're eligible to win that fair trade basket, which is awesome. If you are looking where to comment on YouTube, I think it's a matter of opening the sides of your screen or the tops of your screen. You can type live or click on the live chat. Jessica, I hope that helps you and anybody else that can't figure out the comments. Sarah, you said, hi, Christy. Thank you for letting me join in. Of course. I'm so thankful that you guys are here today. I will just come back one more time and say hello to everybody. So I'm actually here behind the screen. I am figuring out all this technology for the first time. So give me a little cheer if you're proud of me today. All right. So I want to just get back to the superhero theme. And I'm wondering if when you think of your favorite action movies or your show of any kind, you need to realize that there's conflict. Even Anne of Green Gables had to go up against Marilla from time to time. Every good story has conflict after conflict that needs to be resolved. And good stories about leading ladies that lead to superhero status always have a happy ending. Stories of villains simply expose the dark side that led that leading lady towards her demise and ugliness. We don't want this year to turn out like a Maleficent from Snow White stories, right? Maleficent started out okay, but then she rose to be the land's fiercest protector. She ultimately suffered a ruthless betrayal, an act that began to turn her pure heart to stone. She was bent on revenge, and Maleficent faced a battle with the invading king's successor, and as a result, she placed a curse upon a newborn infant. So I'm just saying that because I don't want you guys to face trials and become bitter. I want you to face 2020 and all the trials that we've been facing and become better. I see that Deb's happy for me with my tech stuff. Thank you, Deb. And Tara, it's good to see that you are also an Alias fan. I love Alias. Awesome. Well, now, Dawn, I know you're with me. These are characters from the Ant-Man movie. And the one on the right is Ant-Man. And the one on the left is his hilarious friend, Louis. And as I've been preparing to share today, I had Louis in mind. And let me tell you why. Louis goes on rants. And it's hilarious. He kind of goes off track a little bit. But he is going to do a rant. I will share what he imaginatively shared that I'm going to read to you. I am not trying to offend anyone, and neither is Ant-Man's friend. But I'm sure you'll get caught up in his words just like Ant-Man does. You can see his face. So here's what Louis would say about 2020. Okay, so you know our president, the star from The Apprentice TV show? Years ago? Well, in the beginning of the year, he was getting investigated for dealings with Ukraine and was at risk of impeachment when he got into a Twitter argument with Iran, which almost started World War III. But then Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash, which stole the headlines. We started hearing rumblings of a sickness out of China, but those are being quieted by a gun-toting Oklahoma man with a meth addiction and 180 tigers. Things we only imagined in movies started to become reality when an actual global pandemic finally reached the States, and we didn't have enough supplies to keep our hospital workers protected. Grocery stores were ransacked, and Charmin mega rolls replaced the US dollar. People began sheltering at home, and parents lost their minds when they had to start homeschooling their kids. Proms and graduations were canceled, but at least all the seniors got special signs in their front yards. Birthday parties were canceled and turned into drive-by parades in front of houses, with presents being thrown out of car windows into driveways. People couldn't go to work or church, but Walmarts and Lowe's were packed with people searching for sanitizer, yard work tools, and home renovation supplies. There were no more rules, and the guidelines just kept changing. Australia was hit by fires and floods, and natural disasters were popping up everywhere. 5-year plans were thrown out the window, and everyone ordered loads of corona-free comfort food to be delivered so they could gain their COVID-19 pounds in peace and quiet and just forget about it all. But then another American Black man was killed by a white police officer, and rioting and protests sent masked men and women into the streets throughout America and the world. Black lives mattered and blue lives mattered, and people forgot about saving the whales for a while. But friends were unfriended because they were polarized too far left or too far right on the political spectrum, and we were too loud about it on social media. Murder hornets helped us not want to vacation in California anyway, even if we could get out of town. And all this happened in the midst of regular everyday marriage problems, health issues, financial setbacks, and the overwhelming depression and anxiety rates that America is well known for. Isn't that crazy, man? Can you imagine Lewis saying all that to Ant-Man just staring back at him? What did I miss, ladies? What else would you add to the chaos list of 2020? Feel free to comment. That took a lot out of my voice. So just reading this makes my heart race. What about you girls? No matter what side we stand on any of these issues, it seems like there really is just no winning. It feels like it's just about surviving. If you're like most of us, there's likely been a lot coming at you. And for many, the stresses of life culminate into one moment here and another there that feels like the building behind you is exploding and you need to run for your life. Can I remind you about this? I hope this is okay to share. This is what came to mind was a picture of me and Jesus, and this is the best that I could do. I hope it represents you as well. So today, I just want to encourage you, if nothing else, while you're here with me, that you are the leading lady of your own life, of your own story. But even when you feel alone, the truth is actually that you are never alone. So today, I want to share about some of the characters in your story and help you understand how they have likely impacted the first half of 2020 and how they might impact the second half of 2020 for good. I'm just going to quick check into your comments here. I know you guys are feeling it with me. It's put fear into so many, Deb said, and the children don't understand what's going on. And thankfully, I see a few laughy faces. You guys understand that we are just trying to find humor in the midst of all this chaos. So, all right. I'm just going to say hi again to you ladies. Good to see you here. Thanks for dealing with me. My throat's getting funny. I don't know how to help that, but thanks for dealing with me. So I want to move on and keep talking about how we can move into 2020 the best possible way. We want to invite Jesus to be the hero of our altered story. So imagine yourself there again where the fire is burning and you guys are running out of there and the hero grabs your hand. He pulls you out of the burning embers and rubble around your feet and grabs your hand and leads you to a safe house. He offers you rest. Now, prevalent modern day philosophies might cause you to guess that I'll tell you that you, my friend, are the hero of your own story. Own it, lady, girl power. But while you are surely very important in your own story, I want to encourage you to seek out Jesus as the hero of your story. So there's only so much you might accomplish or succeed at without Jesus. Do you want to experience miracles and supernatural things in your story? I know I do. I want people to look at my life and my successes and say things like, there is simply no way she could have done that. But that will let God get all the glory. So I'm wondering today, can you think with me? Have you seen God moving in the first part of 2020? Like, really take a moment now to think about whether you've seen him at work in your life. Has he blessed you in some way? Have you seen God in action this year? If so, please comment about it right now and share it with the rest of us. Even if you just type family, work, finances, or any other way you've noticed that God was a part of your story, I hope you'll comment now. You might even win the prize. Problems force us to look to God. If we don't invite God into our story, things are going to get even harder. We are blessed to know Jesus and to be able to lean on him. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So for now, what I want you to do is just consider how you can rest in Christ throughout 2020. Here is a picture of you after the action scene. You and Jesus have made it to the safe house, and you have probably showered or gotten into some clothes that magically appeared that were just your size that you could cuddle into, because that seems to happen. But you're sitting there by the crackling fire in the wilderness. You're ready to cut and dye each other's hair if you need to go on the run tomorrow, just like every other action movie. But what you do is you draw close to the one you're with during this crisis, and that's Jesus. And I want you to ask him to give you peace and strength for what tomorrow holds. Only he knows, and he knows how to prepare you. So in real life, read his word. Ask him to highlight what he needs you to know for the adventures that you have ahead. In fact, since every day is full of adventures and we surely don't know what else 2020 will bring, why not take time with him each and every morning before you head out? Invite Jesus to play a bigger role in your story. So I'm just going to read some of the comments. Did anyone say how God is at work? All right. Being an RN, God has been with me through all the chaos and scary moments. I'm so grateful. And Dawn said, God's provision in times of uncertainty, feeling so grateful. Also watching people take care of others. There are some amazing helpers out there, and God is using them to show his love to people. Hannah says, Ben and I have definitely grown closer during these past few months. We've relied on God to provide finances and faced my health issues together. That is so beautiful. It is so true. We have seen God at work. And if you haven't, that's my encouragement to you as you move into the second half of 2020. It's time that we consider how God is on the move, how he is working. Have you been running from one responsibility to the next, trying to do it on your own? No judgment here. That's my default as a very independent woman. You are the leading lady of your own story, but your story will be much better if you allow Jesus to be your hero. Why would you want to even try to avoid the bad guys and go after that treasure ahead without your hero leading the way? If 2020 has caused you pain, consider the words of Joni Eareckson Tada, who became a quadriplegic as a young woman after a diving accident. She founded Joni and Friends, a ministry that accelerates Christian ministry in the disability community. She said, when life is rosy, we may slide by with knowing about Jesus, with imitating him and quoting him and speaking of him. But only in suffering we will know Jesus. We learn things about God in suffering that we could not learn any other way. So ladies, if this year has brought you down, if you've experienced pain and sorrow and suffering, remember that Jesus is close to the brokenhearted. He wants to bind up your wounds. And I encourage you to find a place to get away from it all, that safe house, if even just to recoup before you head out again into 2020. Sit with Jesus, even in the midst of your pain, and he'll get you ready to go out again. So for now, imagine yourself away from the violence and stress and problems, finally at peace with Jesus, your hero. You're in that safe house. You both get to rest until tomorrow. And you're there, you're sitting on the couch, and you have an opportunity that you actually get every single day, which is to talk to Jesus. Tell him your story. Tell him what you're hoping for when you guys leave. And one thing that superheroes call that an origin story. And so I encourage you to be thinking about your origin story. Now, this would be pretty personal, so I'm not going to ask you to comment on it specifically. But what I am going to do is provide an email tomorrow with a special worksheet that's a lot like our purpose projects that I give out for Altered Story Sisters. And it will allow you to reflect on some of the things that we're talking about. I know we're going through things pretty quickly tonight. And so if you just want some more time to reflect on what we're talking about, watch for that email tomorrow. So what would be your origin story for 2020? Where have you been this year, lady? And more importantly, where do you want to end up? Has life been too crazy for you to even dream at all? Even if you aren't thinking 10 years down the road, I encourage you to consider the end of the year. And rather than a specific accomplishment, what I encourage you today is to consider who you want to be. At Altered Story, we call this inviting me into your story, which actually just means inviting yourself into your story. It's anytime you focus on your own values, interests, wants, desires, goals, or dreams, which I find that us busy women don't often take time to do. So it's the end of 2020. How might all that's happened actually help you towards where God needs you to go? I want you to be thinking about that. One thing that our family has been doing, as I mentioned, is going through the Marvel movies. I highly recommend it. Here are some of my favorites. I think Captain America is my favorite. Maybe that's too trendy or basic, but that's my favorite. And I'm curious, who is your favorite superhero? Comment on the side, who is your favorite superhero? I would love to hear. So these are the superheroes that are from the Marvel series. And the one on the left is Steve Rogers, Captain America. He was a scrawny boy from Brooklyn, bullied by everyone who wanted so bad to stand up for his country and for what's right. He volunteered to be used however they needed him to. And he became the first super soldier. His integrity and positive character qualities intensified with him as he began to own his new role as Captain America. Bigger muscles, bigger integrity. Who doesn't love that? Or what about the guy in the middle? That's Tony Stark, otherwise known as Iron Man. He was actually filled with ego and pride. But when he realized that his life's work of supplying weapons to the US Army was actually helping terrorists, he decided to turn it all around and make sure he was fighting for the good guys. He was humbled, he admitted he was wrong, and determined to live the rest of his life helping to fight evil instead of supplying them with what they needed. He allowed getting injured personally and captured by terrorists to transform his story and his heart. And I hope his story will be an encouragement to you no matter what kind of character you came into 2020 with. God wants to improve it. Peter Parker's the guy on the right, otherwise known as Spider-Man. He was a high school nerd whose parents were out of the picture and who was being raised by his aunt and uncle when he got bit by a radioactive spider. As a result of not using his new talents to stop a bad guy, his uncle got killed. He swore never to let crime win again if he had the opportunity to stop it. His new motto, with great power comes great responsibility. He really tried to live up to the calling that he felt that was put on his life. So let me see. Laura, you're saying you love Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner. Oh, okay. So you've got a favorite Bruce. Gotcha. I like him too. I finally, for the first time, saw the first Hulk with the guy from the Italian Job. Don't know what his name is, but I agree. I like Mark Ruffalo. So thank you for commenting, Laura, and anyone else on your favorite characters. Next, we're going to be diving more into the comeback stories, which each of these superheroes does represent. I'm wondering, do you ladies have a favorite underdog story? Maybe you read a book about one or saw a movie. Maybe someone you knew who went against the odds of their current circumstances to rise above and experience victory. If you have a favorite comeback story, please just let us know the name of the person or the movie in the comments so we can check it out. So I do believe that you're meant to have a story that's just as inspiring as any of these make-believe superheroes are, but maybe those are too hard to relate to. So let's talk about some real-life people who transformed their stories for good. I really hope that these stories will be just one encouragement for you tonight as you go into the rest of 2020. So these are real people. I had to throw a little vintage in there. You know I love vintage. This is Mary Kay Ash of Mary Kay Makeup. And after 25 years in sales at Stanley Home Products, Ash resigned in 1963, frustrated that the firm overlooked her for promotions, even as men she trained rose through the ranks. How frustrating. Her turnaround came when Ash began writing an advice book for businesswomen, and soon she realized she was writing a business plan for herself. Mary Kay Cosmetics was born. The company reached $2.5 billion in wholesale sales worldwide in 2009. A quote from her is, "For every failure, there's an alternative course of action. You just have to find it. And when you come to a roadblock, take a detour." Some of the best business ideas she came up with came out of personal experience. And I just can't help but wonder what ideas are going to come to you ladies this year out of your personal experience. The girl in the middle's name is Diana Nyad. Never heard of her? Me neither. But she accomplished her dream. And you thought it was tough to get out of bed this morning? In September of 2013, Diana became the first person to swim 110 miles from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage. As a 64-year-old, she had tried and failed to complete the swim on 4 different occasions, but had to cut each swim short due to complications such as jellyfish and lightning strikes. This girl seems invincible to try 4 times. And the idea that she did it without a shark cage, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. I love that she's an older woman, but even younger women have set a great example for us. The lady to the right is Dawn Loggins. She's a former school janitor and straight A student at her high school in North Carolina. She was homeless her senior year after being abandoned by her drug-abusing parents. Not one to let her situation limit her, she applied to and was offered a full scholarship from Harvard. Pretty crazy, right? Let me just take a look here if you've got some good comeback stories like these ladies might inspire you. Laura says all sports movies like Remember the Titans, Glory Road, and Miracle, hockey movie. I know you love that one. Hannah says The Pursuit of Happiness and Chris Gardner is an awesome story. I love that. So beautiful. And Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner, Deb says. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, ladies. Each one of these comeback stories and any others that you're going to watch or read about, they all include challenges. But they each represented a goal, someone that each person wanted to become or something that they wanted to achieve. What do you want to find at the end of 2020? Have you considered your ideal outcome? You'll have more time if you use those worksheets I talked to you about that I'll send you tomorrow. But I want you to be considering, have you even thought about where do you want to be at the end of this year? It's important because I think we need to think about why do so many people really, truly make the best out of bad situations? I believe it's because they own their role as the leading lady of their own life. They live determined to make their story end well. They have to face challenges with courage. These women face adversity and find success on the other side. Walt Disney, who lost everything and went bankrupt before finding his success, is quoted as saying, "You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." As much as the first half of 2020 has made many feel more alone and isolated than ever, it's super important to realize that you going through 2020 is not an isolated experience. I want you to imagine that same scene you've watched over and over again in almost every action movie. The speech to the main character about why they need to get involved, the crisis, the problem to solve, and it always involves other people. At Altered Story, we call this the us characters in our story. Who in your life is your why for pressing on? The truth comes out in the movie to the leading lady. Someone you love is in danger, and it's up to you to help them. And so you do. But while you might not be dealing with a nuclear missile headed straight for your hometown, or a fire at the local school, or your husband being kidnapped for his immense knowledge about a scientific invention that the bad guys are going to use for evil, there are other motivators that drive you. So why? Why do you get up every morning? How will what you do each day improve the lives of others you know and love? Think about your why and let us know in the comments the people who keep you moving forward, even in the midst of world chaos. Comment who in your life is your why for pressing on. I'd love to hear from you, ladies. The truth is, you and those you live with, work with, go to church with, anyone you know and love, you've both impacted each other's stories. And oftentimes, these people are the reason you are willing to act like the leading lady of your own life and follow Jesus back into the battles. Let's see. I think I'm a little before you girls. Oh, good. Tara, you say, for sure, my crew and hubs. Tara, thank you for sharing. I think that Heather says my family, husbands, kids, cousins, aunties, neighbors, church friends, people in your town. Those can all be reasons why you want to do what you need to do every single day. Thank you for sharing that. So you're on your adventure and you've gotten your rest with Jesus. You shared your origin story with him and your dreams, and he heard you. And now he reminded you of your reason for pressing on. The who is your why. And he leads you back out to another adventure. But it won't just affect you and those you love. Others are likely to be involved as well. In action movies, there's a shoot 'em up scene that affects everyone on site. The downtown plaza has people running everywhere. The road chase through Paris has sirens and smashed up cars all around. Your story impacts the lives of many others too, with less casualties, I hope. What ways can you think of that other people have been impacted by you this year, even during the pandemic or the protests or the shutdown or anything else? How have you been blessed by others? Here's some examples, and I would love to hear if you have any others that come to mind. A smile at the grocery store, mask or no mask, an unexpected call or a good old-fashioned card just to show some love, a shared book or movie about a current issue we are facing, a covered shift for someone at work, a financial gift to a person or a cause, a get well message, being a simple presence in someone's life who is far from their family. There are still so many ways that your life, even quarantined, even sheltering at home, has already and can impact others for good. How have you been seeing other people show up in new ways. Dawn, you mentioned a few before, and I appreciate that. Have you seen people helping each other in ways that they didn't before the pandemic? What we do, even during 2020, can impact lives of those near and far. I'm going to share one more example of a comeback story, someone turning bad circumstances for good. Your story impacts so many others, and this is what I'm going to talk about. The Moody Rudy showcases the true story about the life of Daniel Rudiger, who harbored dreams of playing football at the University of Notre Dame, despite significant obstacles. He lacked the grades and money to attend and the talent and physical stature to play major college football. But following high school, he worked at a steel mill with his father, a Notre Dame fan, and his older brothers. When his supportive best friend Pete was killed in a mill explosion, Rudy decided to follow his dream. Tragedy prompted action for Rudy. The movie's epilogue states that after 1975, no other player for Notre Dame had been carried off the field until the time of the film's release in 1993. Rudy graduated in 1976, and all his younger brothers went on to earn college degrees. He altered his own story. He impacted the lives of those he loved. And millions of viewers who he never even knew personally were inspired. So back to this thought. Your story impacts so many lives. How can you experience life like Rudy? Everything seemed like an uphill climb for him, yet he pressed on. I encourage you with your uphill climb. Proverbs 31:25 says, "She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come." I can only think that somebody who has a hero by her side could do that. No matter where you started from this year or even where you are today, you can still choose to pursue godly character development and to be the superhero version of you in your own story instead of that ugly, revengeful villain, bitter woman. So we've shared a lot of comeback stories here, and there's so many more underdogs who've experienced challenges that would make 2020 seem like a cakewalk, probably, all around our world. Maybe your story is more about making it through potty training or the latest staff changes at work, but God intends for you to make the most of your story too. So I want you to consider, how can you make the most of your story? How can you make 2020 the best comeback story ever? I'm just going to go back to the comments here. You guys had written empathy for others in a similar situation, family and my patients that I care for at work, family and helping others in need, and yes, reaching out more to help others and giving to those in need, food, finances, or just prayers. These are all ways, ladies, that real life people like you are making a difference even in 2020, impacting the lives of others. I'm so proud of you. So just thinking back to inviting these characters into our story, here's an image I use a lot for Altered Story. It talks about inviting these characters into our story, and the image is so meaningful to me because they all are interconnected. They all affect each other. But we put God in the center of it all, and we put others above ourselves. And it's so important to invite all these characters to play a role in our story, even though we're the leading lady of it. So I suggest you invite God into your story because he will grow you in spiritual maturity. Invite me, that's you, into your story. Consider your origin story and where you want to end up. Invite us into your story. That's the people you know and love, and they are the why behind your year. They might even become part of your superhero team. Just consider, how might they actually help you to make the most of 2020? We talk about relationships being reciprocal, and it's so important that we give and we take and we make it even back and forth. And lastly, I encourage you to invite others into your story. If you haven't tried to listen to the other side of the arguments on hot button topics like race and police brutality and left wing versus right wing views and so much more, I challenge you, leading lady, be brave enough for this story. Try to learn about the other side. Ask God how He might help you bring unity to His people during these times. The truth is that for every Christian, pain is temporary, but God's reward is eternal. So whether 2020 has taught you about difficulty or you've been struggling for years, I want you to be encouraged, sister. God sees you and He has a purpose in it all. He can even be glorified through the really hard stuff. Hezekiah said in Isaiah 38:17, "It was for my own good that I had such hard times, but your love protected me from doom in the deep pit, and you turned your eyes away from my sins." Another favorite verse of mine is Romans 8:28. "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Do you really believe that? How might that apply to your 2020 so far? If you need some help or encouragement with that, I'm here to offer you support and encouragement because I do believe that you have been called according to God's purposes and that He wants to work good out of all that you've walked through from 2020 and before then, and that He wants to do the same with whatever you're going to face tomorrow, whatever you're going to face the next day. As each day brings new challenges and new battles, you might find that some days you're able to show up like the Black Widow, using moves you didn't even know you had. Other days, you might just need to be the one who hides under the shadow of His wings, like in Psalm 91:4. But together, Jesus and you are making a difference in the world. He is the hero. You are His leading lady, and He looks at you with that adoring smile that every groom has for his bride. He wants to protect you as He leads you forward into every victory, into the happy ending He has planned for you. An eternal happy ending with loads of treasure will be found at the end of this adventure. Once we make it through 2020, there will likely be a sequel coming. Who could even guess what 2020 might look like? Zombie American dolls attack? Octopuses take over Manhattan with lightning shooting out 7 of their 8 arms and water shooting out the 8th? We just can't imagine what might happen. We are surely in the end times. God promises we will have trouble on this earth, but He is with us. How will you face tomorrow, leading lady? My encouragement to you today is don't try to go it alone. There are characters in your story that are there to help you along and that will be impacted by you pressing on. So please don't give up. Okay, let's be honest. Adventure speaks of fun and the triumph at the end. But in reality, every adventure is actually a battle. Whether it's blisters in your shoes from the walking, or chafing because you are chunkier than you used to be thanks to those COVID-19 pounds you added, the journey is usually full of challenges. Maybe you don't feel prepared or smart enough or strong enough. But remember, your hero goes with you. His word says His yoke is easy and His burden is light. Are you allowing Him to lift your load for you? Take a minute right now, please, and just think about what has been weighing you down. What can you hand over to Jesus to help Him carry into 2020 for you? What is weighing you down, sister? Jesus wants that. Let me pray for you right now about that thing. Jesus, I just pray for the woman who is listening to this right now. Please allow her to lay down her burden. Allow her to lay down the weight of it all because you want to pick it up and you want to carry it for her. She was never meant to go through this battle alone. She was never meant to walk it alone. Thank you that you came back and you grabbed her hand and you are leading her through everything that's ahead. Remind her of the why. Remind her of the benefit of helping those people as she faces every new battle, the people that she loves in her life that need her to be the best version of herself. I pray that if she hasn't been taking time for herself to invite me into her story, that you would just allow this time, allow the reflection questions that we're going to send out tomorrow to just help her consider what's important to her and what are her priorities. Help her take time to just seek you, Jesus, and to know you more and to understand your heart for her. And give her a vision for all the lives that might be impacted and inspired as she is the leading lady of her own life. Thank you so much, Lord. Just bless this woman, I pray in Jesus' name. If you agree to give that to him and allow him to carry your load, then I'm just going to finish off by asking you to type amen in the comments. Just type amen. Well, we've reached the end of our little teaching time about altered stories, and I hope that I've offered you inspiration for the rest of your 2020. I really wanted this to be a blessing to you because that was my intention. I hope that you've considered how you've already invited God, me, us, and others into your story this year, and that it will encourage you to continue doing that throughout the year, or just to simply do it with more and more intentions. So prizes are coming, but please give me just a minute to let me share about a few life-giving resources that I have to offer. Many of you ladies know me, and you know that I've started Altered Story, which is meant to connect and equip a sisterhood of everyday Christian leaders to pursue God's purposes, alter our stories, and change the world. And I just want to invite you into the sisterhood. Or if you know somebody who's leading, if it's in business, if it's in ministry, if it's any kind of level of leadership, from a board member at a church to managing at a business, and they're looking to go after God's purposes, and you think that they might want to pursue God's purposes through relationships like we've talked about today, then I would so appreciate you sharing about Altered Story with your friend. I would truly appreciate that. We do Zoom calls. Most of our meetings are virtually, so women from across the states can join in. We have sister interviews to learn about causes and learn about the altered stories of the women that are in the sisterhood. I send out a purpose project every month, which allows for this kind of personal reflection and personal growth activities that seriously, women just don't take time to do. We don't seem to value ourselves enough to even give just 30 minutes to an hour to focus on the things that we care about. But this provides them that excuse and that permission to give themselves time. And I send out purpose packets, which offer step-by-step action ideas to help people who are really moving towards a goal or a dream. So if that sounds like something that you or someone you know might be interested in, check out alteredstory.com, please. Inviting God brings spiritual maturity. Inviting me brings God-empowered personal growth. Inviting us brings relational health, and inviting others brings global impact. If you're looking to connect with the sisterhood, check us out. Our doors are currently open to membership and to our mastermind group, and I would love to invite you. So finishing up our Make 2020 the Best Comeback Story Ever, I just want to say thank you again for joining us. I do have these gifts that I want to give to one of you who have made comments. I will go through afterwards, and then I will pick a random winner, promise. I do it the old-fashioned way with the papers and writing out names and picking a paper. And I will pick a name, and then I will announce that on my Facebook page at Altered Story. On Facebook, you can just look for @AlteredStory. And then I have one more gift for every single one of you if you want to take me up on it. If you email me and let me know that you're interested, I want to give you free shipping for any fair trade product through tradesofhope.com/Christy Schrader. This is just for those who show up live for the presentation as my way to say thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate you so much, and I'm so excited that you were able to join with us tonight to talk about altering our stories to change the world. So that's what it's all about. Thank you again for watching, ladies. Let me just check the comments one more time before we call it a night. I see lots of amens, so let's be praying for that prayer for each one of us, agreeing with each other. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, ladies, for your support. Just thanking me, but I can't thank you enough. I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea of what people expect with Altered Story. And my goal is that Altered Story will grow by referral. So you can thank me by simply sharing about Altered Story with somebody. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I did get a TikTok account. I don't know if I'm going to ever use it, but I'm out there and I'm trying to help people to pursue the purposes of God through relationships. And if I can do that for you, please reach out to me and let me know. So again, I will post the winner for our Fair Trade goodies at Altered Story on my Facebook page. And you can all win free shipping for Fair Trade products. That's a $7 value. And what I would do is send you a PayPal refund if you would order anything through my website. And we do have a Trades of Hope. It's called Christie's Trades of Hope. If you want to join me on Facebook to learn about all the goodies that we provide. I love doing that for artisans around the world. Helping with fair trade allows me to give back and to help the anti-trafficking cause, because many of these ladies are kept out of trafficking because they're finally given a fair wage. So that's really important to me. So I'm curious what causes are important to you. What do you care about? What are the priorities that Jesus highlights? If you want to email me anything, any takeaways that you've gotten from tonight, please email me at purpose@alteredstory.com. Otherwise, I am so excited you joined me. Thank you. And I hope that you have a marvelous evening. Praise the Holy Lord above that the technology worked out, and God has good things ahead for all of us. Take care.